Good morning. We're back in Norfolk, and I'll tell you, I'm tardy for the party. Unfortunately, this morning I had a reset on myself, but we're back at it. It is such a blessing to see you all. This morning, it is Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer, and delegate for the House of Delegates, 89th District, laced up legislator. And yes, we are always in our sneakers because we are always ready to move. I am so grateful to be back home. What I want to do today, there's money. What I want to do today is just give a quick sort of wrap up of where we are session-wise, what we're going to be. Not really too many current events, because I think there's several things that we're holding in our hands that are going to need to be addressed in the coming days, and you guys will see us do that. So first of all, where are we now? So session ended on March 12th. March 12th was our last day in the regular session, because it was 8 weeks long this time because we had a budget to do. So unfortunately, because the House and the Senate budget is important, because they did not come to an agreement on the budget, we will have to do a special session. What does that mean? What does that look like? That means sometime before April 7th. That means sometime before April 27th, we will need to come back to, we're going to have to come back to Richmond. What is significant about April 27th? Well, because we did all our work between the Senate and the House, because we did all our work within that 8 weeks, by March 12th, our governor has until April 11th, I believe, to go through all of the bills and do what he does. Amend them, veto them, whatever he's going to do, and then we come back, and then we go back through his changes or vetoes on the 27th. But even before then, we have to come back for the budget. So we're just waiting for the governor to decide when all of us have to come back for special session. And then after the 27th, I'll probably be back here for kaput, and we won't have to go back there unless there's some other reason that calls us up to Richmond. So we're back home. We're back in Norfolk doing what we should be doing, setting things up. And I want to answer a couple questions about what that looks like. We should be setting up. What will happen is, because we're a part-time legislator, we don't get permanent offices and things like that. So what our team will be doing, and you guys will get a chance to meet the chief of staff and everyone that'll sort of be keeping us connected, is we will be doing weekly office hours, so that if there's an issue, a concern, weekly, different places in the district, that you'll be able to come, and that'll be posted, and that'll be there for you to come, express your issues, whatever that looks like for you for office hours, because it's showtime. I will be doing another debrief. If you missed on March 12th, we did a whole district debrief on the whole session. We will be doing that again, this time probably on social media. So those of you guys who missed it will still have the ability to catch that. Because I think it's important to sort of see what it is that we did, like what the heck are we doing up there, why are we doing it, and then what are the next steps. Lastly, I'm going to put out a poll, and hopefully I get some of you guys to answer this poll. I'm wondering if you have considered joining one of our policy work groups in order to do the good work, right? I've said this several times, is that, like, we've got to put ourselves in a position to do better policy work, better resource work, better partnership work. So on our website, delegatejackieglass.com, we have a space where you can sign up to be a part of one of our policy work groups. What are we looking for in that? You could not know what you don't know, right? We're just looking for you to help us build things for next session, build partnerships, build bills, and because we're going to learn exactly how to create a bill and what that looks like. We're going to help you build bills and bring them to life. Grand Rising, so good to see you. And that's super important. It's super important that you guys are a part of this process, and that at least I come from a place of, I don't try not to do things too much in a silo, like not be the single point of information of success or single point of failure. But I'm excited about that. So take the poll. Have you considered it? Because it's a huge need. As we sort of walk towards next steps, I just want to encourage you guys. I know that there is a whole lot. There's more than a little bit happening in our city right now. And this past week that I took off was really rough because of all the things that are happening. But just know we're working. And by the end of the week, I'll be able to sort of share some of the things, or hopefully have some resolutions and some things that that our team can bring forward as advancements to some ongoing problems or ongoing issues that we've had in the city of Norfolk. Because it's really unfortunate super unfortunate to feel like, that things are sort of out of control, and they're not. Thank you. I'm excited about these policy work groups. Yep, there are topics. So the question is, are there certain topics? Because you've got a few. Yes. So for the policy work groups, when you go to sign up, what we did is, because I think this is a great opportunity to see how and who to lobby based off your interests. What we'll have is the policy work groups are mapped out just based on the committees that we have. Because remember, we talked about, I don't know if you were with us during session, but all of your legislators that are on the state level are assigned to a committee, right? We each are put on a specific committee that does or is responsible for an area. So for me, I was on privileges and elections, which did a lot of the bills and heard a lot of the bills before they even made it to the floor on elections and constitutional amendments. And then I was on communication, technology, and innovation, which did a lot of bills on cybersecurity and things like that. So we've mapped out those committees, because that's how we're going to do the topics. But then we're going to learn who in the world up at the state level are on those committees, so that you guys can be able to interact with those folks in a meaningful way and be able to know how the sauce is made, because we're going to make, or they say sausage, but we're going to make. But good morning, Janice. Good morning. So yes, and if you have any suggestions on work groups, let's say you think, hey, maybe we should be doing X, Y, or Z, then you do not hesitate to reach out. Going to the Westside Worship. Thank you. Yeah. So part of what will happen is, not only are we building out the policy work groups, and remember today I'm not really talking about current events. I just want to give you guys situational awareness of where we are and how we're going to engage. We will be doing a series on just public-private partnerships. What we're looking at is many of the issues that we've seen, is we realize that the government is always not going to have enough money to do all of the things. And I'd give myself an amen on the amen. We're always not going to have enough money to do all the things, which is why partnerships are going to be a really huge game changer in how we advance some of the things that we want to do. So we've got some folks that are like ready. Hey, We've got resources. And that's what I said when I left. I could not get one bill passed, but if I bring back resources, we're doing something good. So that's a huge part of what we're doing, is connecting some dots to do some things, even our school system. And I think Mr. Hicks, I'm really excited to bring this really cool partnership to the STEM Academy once I, make that introduction with the principal and things like that. Like, we're doing this. Is there a workbook? Oh, Lord. So, Chioma said, is there a work group on gerrymandering and gentrification? No. There's not a work group on gerrymandering and gentrification. However, when we talk about housing bills and I think those would fall under there, and I'm not 100% sure where gerrymandering would fall under, but as far as policy work groups, I so get where you're going. I so get where you're going, and I'll have to sort of flush out where gerrymandering would fit under, what sort of policy wise would that fit under. Because I believe there's some crossover. Yeah, I keep doing it. You candidates in here, and I say this, it is a privilege for many of us. I see Conrad said, that's what I thought you meant, redistricting too. Yes. So that is many cities. Let me backtrack, because what I was going to say is that yes, Conrad, it is a privilege. Anybody who runs for office, at least in this Commonwealth, that's a privilege. Many of I don't think there are any full-time elected, which means you've got to have a job or the ability to work this with a job or without a job. So we're like really, that's right. She's absolutely right, Andrea. Andrea said privileges in elections, gerrymander, and redistricting. Yep. Because many of the folks that are on privileges, and I remember sitting in a meeting at privileges and elections, and the young lady sitting two people down from me, we were talking about an issue that got really tight, and she said, I'm having PTSD from redistricting commission. So they went through a lot there. Yeah. They went through a lot there. Yes, so constitutional offices, thank you for that clarity. Going back to, most of our elected are not full-time, but we do have the treasurer, the sheriff, the commissioner of revenue, the clerk of court, which are the constitutional officers, as Andrea mentioned, that are full-time. That's a whole full-time job. But at the state and local level, council, school board, senators, delegates, it's part-time. So I really don't take lightly the privilege that we have here. And for some of you guys stepping up to run, like, I do not, like, yeah, let's not take it lightly. That, like, I think more people would do this if there was more opportunity and space. But we have the privileges to do it, and I think we should do our best. And as Mr. Hicks said, Mr. Barrick Hicks says, like having clarity and vision and purpose and a way to engage folks in a truly meaningful way. So yes, Janice, y'all on redistricting. That seems like it's gonna be a hot topic as we sort of figure out our lives. So let me give an update on state-wise where we are. The last report that came out with regards to redistricting for our state, or not redistricting's done, but when we'll have elections, is that there's a possibility that all of the members of the House of Delegates will have to run again this year. We're waiting on a court case that to be decided and say that determine whether we'll have to run on the new maps. Because what happened was that commission I told you about, that the delegate 2 rows down from me said she got PTSD, and they were at a gridlock. And we chose the way. Remember, like, we chose the way in which redistricting would happen. The commission sort of got, gridlock and had to give it to the courts. The courts took a while to make decision. Remember, COVID sort of backed us up on the census. None of those maps got done by the November election, or by the time we had started the process for November elections, which means that all of us are now sitting in maps that are not drawn out equitably. Not all of us, but a lot of districts are not drawn out equitably by population, because typically for a delegate, we each have, there are 8 million people in the Commonwealth, 8 million, over 8 million people. And so we each have about 80,000 people in our district. If that, doing the math, that makes perfect sense. So there's a possibility that all of the delegates, there may be an election this year for the House of Delegates and the Senate too, because I think, there may be an election this year. And then maybe next year. We're just waiting on the court case to be resolved. I'm trying to think, what else do we have? Just informational purposes. I just don't want to hit you guys with too many things today. As like I said, there's some real stuff in the works, resource-wise. And I'm just super excited. What I will make sure happens is that we will put out when we're going to do the district debrief again. So remember, the day we finished session on March 12th, I did a comprehensive sort of debrief of all of the things we did so that you can see visually and ask questions about the work that we did and talk about some of the surprises that I found out as a delegate, some of the things that we're responsible for that I was like, I had no idea, that are important for you to understand so that we can do better. Yep, status of the budget. I talked about that first thing, but I'll talk about it again. So thank you for asking questions too. I appreciate that. So right now, the budget, we are waiting for the governor to call us back to convene a special session to hash out the budget. It will have to be, I believe, before April 27th, which is reconvene. And I talked about reconvene is when we look at all the governor's looking at our bills right now and doing his veto and doing his amendments. So before then, we'll have to come back and hash this thing out and vote on our budget. And remember, the reason why that works this way is because the budget is a bill, right? And so we treat it like a bill. And to be quite honest, not only do we have to reconvene for the budget, we have to reconvene because there are bills that did not get finished that are still left in conference. And I think that we talked about conference, right, where the House and the Senate have to have changes in a bill and say they couldn't come to an agreement. The Senate made a change to a bill when it made it over to a House bill. When it made it over there, the House did not agree to that change, so they have to have a conference together to say, hey, do we agree? Let's agree on what happens. And I'll tell you, when I heard the word conference, I initially thought we're gonna sit at a table and we're gonna hash it out. No, I found myself, one of my bills was conference, the bill on updating forfeited assets for police to be able to do community work. I found myself standing in front of the Senate chambers with 4 pieces of paper, just saying, here's my change, can you sign it? Running people down. It was almost like a scavenger hunt for senators to sign off and say, here's what we're doing, and they have to agree. Okay, so that's the status of the budget. The budget is still in conference, and so are several bills. When we go back up, you guys will be the first to know. When I get a date saying that I have to go back up to Richmond, you all will know that date. So we're just waiting on that, and the governor makes that decision. Do you need help to be more successful? What help do I need to be more successful at my job? Well, all things considered, I need human capital. I think that the best way to do this is to be resource with people. What I'll say is, now that we're back in Norfolk, 3 things are really heavy on my mind. Three areas that I got a lot of, and even when I checked my P.O. box the other day, constituent services is huge. it's how we do what we're supposed to do, take care of people. 3 areas. Ready? Prison, right? I get a lot of, believe it or not, when I went and checked my P.O. box the other day, a lot of my mail was from folks in prison asking for help and support. So prison services, folks that are willing to learn how to be connected in that way, because oftentimes I may get a letter from a family member of a person incarcerated, and they may say, hey, this is or is not happening to my family member. Can you check the status of them? And oftentimes that's just a phone call, right? And I've got I've got a team here, but I want us to understand like how this stuff works, and so that we can all collectively do it better and we can be resourced in a way. So that prison constituent services, right? 1, employment constituent services. I get a lot of questions about the Virginia Economic Commission. I think that's what it's called, the VEC. Like a lot. Hey, my unemployment has stopped. This has happened. That's a huge thing. That's those, like, getting folks the ability to be able to support what they're, and that was a 3rd one, but I lost it in my constituent services brain, and I hope it comes back. But like being able to resource people, to triage, because this is all case management. So I've talked to some students at Norfolk State that are social workers that may be looking to work with us on helping with case management and triaging people. So that's 2 things. We're like a hospital. I think, you know, you treat some problems, you triage until you can get the right resources. Some problems you case manage until you can get a solution. And there's that part. Okay, so that's what I think we need to be really successful, and help me with this policy workers, because sometimes we don't need bills, we need resources. Sometimes I get concerns that need to go to the local level. So helping me educate, advocate, celebrate, and legislate will be eternally grateful, and getting folks to the right place, because I get a lot of stuff and I was like, hey, you're gonna need to email your school board member with this, you're gonna need to email your council member with this. Nope, you can go right down to the treasurer and do X, Y, and Z. So like, that's the sort of things that we are educating people on how to use this process so that it works better for us, and so that we're not so overwhelmed with trying to hold all the problems, and that people get the support they need, because this job is now almost most certainly constituent services. So yes, there's that. No worries. You're very welcome. I'm so happy to do this, provide this information. It's helpful to both of us, I think, to all of us. Okay, so Chioma, can you create a cabinet at home to look at the issues, give you a breakdown weekly and monthly? Yes, so I have that, and I'll be meeting with my cabinet tomorrow night. I'm really excited about, because I miss the team here. Know that, yeah. It feels really good to be back. It does. It feels super good. So like having the team, good morning, having and being with the team will be really, 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 really great. So yes, I do have that to do issues, people on the ground. But the more the merrier, right? Like I have my cabinet, but I don't want anyone to feel like they cannot come to myself or Stephanie, my chief of staff, because she's essentially going to be out and about in the community too, doing what she do to support the office. So I don't want anyone to feel like they can't come to us and express all the things, so that we can just do what we need to do with them. Okay, so it says I will have Angela Anto reach out to you. She's the best statewide reentry. Yeah, thank you. See? That part, Chioma. That part. Reentry services. I get a lot of that. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I came back. I finally got a chance to check my P.O. box the day before yesterday, and I started separating the mail into piles, the letters from incarcerated folks, the junk mail, the bank mail, and the invitation mail, and the I don't know what it is, but I better read it. Okay? And I try to make sure my head is in the right place to read the letters that I'm getting from incarcerated folks. And I try to do it with with someone that I don't do it by myself. I don't do it I make sure that I'm not alone. But I sort of sometimes these letters break me, not break me, but I get emotional. And I know that my husband says, you got to sort of compartmentalize. It's like, it's not emotional because I just believe everything I read, or that, none of that. It's oftentimes what gets me the most is when you have a person who, I'm just going to give an example, that's incarcerated, and they know that they're not trying to get out, but they're advocating on behalf of other incarcerated people. Good morning. We strolling a little late this morning. You good though? You good? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You walking? You want to ride?
I want to ride.
Yeah. Do you want me to drive you? I can drive you down. That's up to you. Okay, let me get my keys. I'm gonna wrap this up and get my keys.
I'm not in a hurry.
I know you're not in a hurry, but it's a walk.
I walk all the time.
I know you do.
And,
You got a lot of miles. What you tell me? It's
ticked off.
not.
They're not playing fast.
Yeah, it's not the age. Let me get off this. Let me get off my live. Get my keys, and you can tell me in the car. Mr. Lafayette reminds me, it's not the age, it's the miles that you put on the body. It's not the age, it's the miles, and he don't put some miles on that body. But oftentimes, like I said, I get a little upset because of I'm moved by people's willingness to advocate for others, right? And that is, and there's no benefit for them at all. So it ain't all bad. So what I will say to you all is I'm gonna give Mr. Lafayette a ride to work. And I will be doing this next Thursday. Yes, educate, advocate, legislate, celebrate. That's the good work that we're into. And I will be touching base with you guys on Thursday. And we'll have like I said, I'm hoping before Thursday, I'm working on some things that are really important in the community right now. My silence is not ignorance, and my silence is not that I don't hear, but I'm trying to make some moves that are meaningful and not just be sort of a condolence queen or a bystander. So ready to work. I'll talk to you guys on Thursday. Make it a great day. Thank you, Chioma. Please connect me to Antoine, please. I appreciate that. Take care.